All right, today we're going to start solving equations for a specific variable. But before we do that, I want to review a couple of algebra skills that we're going to need as we do this. And one of those is if I want to multiply 5a times 2. These are just algebra skills we're going to need today. 5a times 2, we are allowed to do that, and that is 10a. All right, that is kind of a normal algebra step. But if I were to have 5a plus 2, 5a plus 2 is not 7a. 5a plus 2 is just 5a plus 2. All right, it's not 7a. So you just have to remember what we know about combining like terms. We're going to need that today. So today, when we solve, you're going to be told to solve for a specific variable. On this first one, we will solve for the letter m. And when I write down this equation, you'll notice something. 4m minus 3a equals 8. You'll notice that we have more than one variable, which means my answer is going to have a variable. When you do these problems, you need to know two things. Your answers are going to be uglier, and they're going to have a letter in them. Sometimes maybe more than one letter. And that's just okay. You have to accept the fact that the answers are going to be uglier and have a letter in them. So if I was solving for m, all right, if I wanted to get m by itself, we're going to use regular algebra steps here. Wouldn't it make sense that I would add 3a to both sides? A normal algebra step, because I'm trying to get m by itself. So these 3a's go away. I now have 4m by itself. And right here, this 8 plus 3a, that's what I was just talking about up here. 8 plus 3a is just 8 plus 3a. It is not 11a. Now, once again, what are we solving for? We're solving for m. So I need to move the 4 over. So we use a regular algebra step. I would divide both sides by 4. And guess what? We have solved for m. Your answer is, like I told you, uglier than normal. It has a letter in it, but that's okay. These problems, we're not going to get m equals 17 or something. We're going to get an expression that's got a letter in it, and that's okay. Let's do another one. On this one, let's solve for a. Let's say that we have 5a plus c equals negative 8a. So if I was doing a regular algebra problem, and we just finished a unit where we had variables on both sides, I normally want to get my a's together. So I would subtract 5a from both sides. Remember, we're solving this for a. So I need to get the a terms together. So on this side, they go away. And I have c equals, these are like terms, so I have negative 13a. Now, what are we solving for? We're solving for a. So if I'm solving for a, don't I need to move the negative 13, right? So I'm going to do that with division. just like we always do. So my answer is C over negative 13. Again, the answer is a little uglier. It has a letter in it. That's all right. Keep moving here. I'm trying to show you several examples just to get you used to this idea and get used to these ugly answers. Let's solve for n on this one. Let's say that I have n minus 2 over 5 equals 11a. So we are solving for the n. So just like always, we would multiply both sides by 5, just like we always do. The 5's factor out. And on the left side, I just have n minus 2. On the right side, we talked about that at the beginning of the class, that's 55a. 11a times 5 is 55a. Now, if I am solving for n, I just need to add 2 to both sides. So if I add 2 to both sides, the answer is not 57a. It's 55a plus 2. And we're just okay with that uglier answer. Everybody okay so far? Let's keep going. 2 more examples. This next example, I believe, is one of the first ones that you see in your book. I think maybe it's the second problem. And on this one, we're supposed to solve for the letter M. And of course, you notice right away, there's no numbers. The whole problem is letters. That's all right. So I'm trying to get M by itself. Well, for your notes, let's rewrite this problem, because I want to mark it up a little bit. What you have to understand is that this y plus r is a single quantity. Okay? It's acting like one item. All right? Because it's in parentheses. So sometimes what I do on these problems is I'll come over to the side and put in some numbers just to see what's going on here. Well, x is acting like a number. So if I had 12 equals m times one item, all right, I'll put a 6. If I was going to solve this, wouldn't I divide both sides by 6? Wouldn't I do this? Right? Well, on this problem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by that y plus r, because it's acting like a single item. Those go away, and the problem is done in one step. I think the second problem in homework is like that tonight. All right, so this is my answer. Yes, it's ugly, and yes, that's okay. One more problem. Let's say we are asked to solve for C. And our equation is x equals b minus CD. If you ever get stuck on these problems, if you ever get stuck or hung up, you can always rewrite the problem off to the side with some numbers in it. All right? I'm supposed to solve for C. So if you're ever not sure, go over to the side someplace and replace all the other letters with a number, like 12 equals 5 minus C times 4, something like that. Now, wouldn't we normally call this 12 equals 5 minus 4C? Can we do the same thing over there? We can. I can make this x equals b minus dc. I'm allowed to multiply in any order. All right? So, I am solving for c. What would I do over here if I was going to solve for c? Wouldn't I subtract 5? So over here, I'm going to subtract b. So now I have x minus b equals, the b's canceled on this side, negative dc. And if I was doing this problem over here, I would have that 7 equals negative 4c. Well, on this problem, what would I do to finish solving? Wouldn't I divide by negative 4? So on this problem over here, I'm going to divide both sides by negative d. It acts just like regular numbers because the letters stand for numbers. So we're done. I have x minus b over negative d, and the problem is done. And we will stop there for today as you work with solving equations for a specific variable.